Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Is it? Okay, there we go. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. Today I have my good friend with me, Gina Virginia Casella, and welcome to everybody that's watching on her channels and my channels. She's going to be getting into intrusive thoughts and invasive entities today. And Gina is a consciousness researcher, intuitive practitioner, and educator focused on mental sovereignty, intrusive thought patterns, and energetic boundaries. Her work explores the intersection of psychology, trauma awareness, and subtle energy dynamics, helping individuals better understand thoughts and internal experiences that feel disruptive, invasive, or overwhelming. Gina emphasizes discernment, grounding, and personal empowerment, offering practical frameworks for distinguishing between anxiety-driven thought loops, trauma responses, and energetically influenced mental states, without feeding fear or reinforcing disempowering narratives. She is known for approaching sensitive topics with clarity, responsibility, and balance, and encouraging people to reclaim agency over their inner world. Through her teachings, sessions, and public discussions, Gina supports individuals in developing stronger emotional regulation, clearer mental boundaries, and a healthier relationship with their thoughts, bridging spiritual insight with real-world tools. And her website is ginavirginiacasella.com, and you can find her YouTube at Gina Virginia Casella. And I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Gina, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
Everybody. Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to be here. And today our focus is on intrusive entities. So those of you who know me know I'm really passionate about being the master scribe of your life that is your birthright to be. Nobody has any business writing your story other than you, right? So we come here on this planet, we can get into a conversation about reincarnation, incarnation, the life between lives. But what it boils down to is at some point you incarnate here, okay? And then it's like it's too late. You're here and you're stuck in a program. So before you're even born, there you are as a fetus. You literally just been conceived. You're not even a fetus yet. You're just a bunch of cells. And you're already saturated with subconscious programming that has nothing to do with you. Programming, a lot of it that comes from the mother, because respectfully, you're inside the mother's womb. So any emotions the mother is feeling, any noise in and around her, you absorb all of that. When you're in that state, you are one on a literal biological level with the mother. And we can get into interesting conversations about water and the womb being like the ocean of the universe. And so even though it's just a little tiny universe in the mother's belly, it's really the ocean of the womb that we all belong to, right? Because of our greater oneness. And so by the time you actually, develop as a fetus and then, okay, now you're born into survival mode, right? Like out of all the species in the world, the Homo sapiens, we're notorious for being absolutely helpless. If we were born and we would die, right? We would die. So we're dependent on others. And that dependency right from birth triggers us into a codependent relationship with our parents or whoever our primary caregivers may be. Most of us today are born in homes that are not safe. It's not a coincidence. I know this sounds kind of funny, but for what it's worth, people who are born into families that speak Mandarin, it's not a coincidence the children end up speaking Mandarin, right? If you're born into a family where folks are speaking English, then it's not a coincidence that the children learn how to speak English. And you might think, well, they're just mimicking what they hear, right? But in truth, the baby's in survival mode and isn't interested in learning anything else than the language the parents are speaking, because that's their direct link to the world. So Jaden Jordan, I'm noticing your comment. And to be honest, I'm just so tired of those comments. I know we're here live and
Just delete him. I wouldn't pay any attention. I don't know who he is.
I
He's on your channel. He came.
I have
He seems
no
like a troll.
idea, but for what it's worth, I just wanted to bring it into the light because I don't want to live my life ignoring things, right? And I know my value, and that's the service that I provide to others. And when you have trolls in the chat, doesn't matter if you're live or not, it really takes away the focus. So I want to take these opportunities when people are being rude to bring back the focus to the greater collective and really hone in on the soul tribe, because the soul tribe upholds the soul tribe. And everything that I'm saying applies to this exact scenario, because it's all about social emotional learning and self-regulation. So I was a public school teacher for 20 years, huge union advocate, and I graduated from the first social emotional learning cohort in British Columbia, in North America, actually, but it was in British Columbia at the University of UBC, University of British Columbia. And that was the focus, because how you think and feel matters that much. And there's such a push on academics, but research proves that when you satisfy the social emotional needs and you put social emotional learning first, so what that means for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it basically means day in, day out self-regulation and all of the stuff that I'm passionate about, dealing with your feelings, trauma, all this stuff that Rob said in the introduction. So when you put the social emotional first, the research proves that the academics follow. So in truth, you don't have to spend money on reading programs and math programs. You don't have to get stressed out about science. You just need to put your feelings first, because that's how powerful your thoughts are. So when you're 5 years old, socially and emotionally, that's the person you are for life. And that's exactly a result of you incarnating into this planet, being born into your family in survival mode. Like, terrible twos, they're terrible for a reason, right? We have toddlers who are in survival mode. They're struggling with language communication skills. A lot of toddlers, actually babies at 3 months old to 6 months old, are dropped off, picked up by strangers that they don't even know, right? So there's a lot of stress today. How you think and feel matters so much, because the energies in and around you, they're looking exactly for folks who are vulnerable, that they can easily take advantage of, that have, weak boundaries, holes blown, if you will, that they can easily become intrusive entities. So it's very important to address your feelings. When I was a kid, talking about your feelings was considered like, it was frowned upon. It was considered like, oh, you're too sensitive, you're taking things too personally, when really we know now, all these years later, that those are very damaging thoughts, telling somebody that they're taking things too personally, because what they're doing is they're advocating for themselves and standing in their power. They're doing what's better known as awakening. So literally every single thought that you have, doesn't matter what it is, it's followed by an emotional response. And that emotional response dictates a chemical reaction in your body. So we're constantly having chemical reactions going on in our body. So when we're together as a community, we need to make sure that we're providing each other with an epigenetics and environment, whether it's online, in person, a mix of both, that we provide the environment that's supporting. That's what the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective is all about. We're about rising above. We're not about shooting people down. We're not about being trolls. Like, we perceive that as very immature behavior. When it comes to the ET agenda, it's something I enjoy chatting about. But for what it's worth, nobody really knows anything. And also, for what it's worth, there's countless ET folk out there, countless. So you can't rely on one storyline. There's lots and lots of storylines going on with the ET agenda, and they know about this kind of stuff too. And in my book series, I've got 8 books published. There's a whole suitcase more that are based on my real dreams, half remembered and half misunderstood. And these dragon dreams are about all of us as a collective. Initially, it's about me and my spiritual awakening, going through the motions, but it very quickly transforms into a collective consciousness, this dragon that we all are. So we all play a role in this. We all take on themes. And again, epigenetics matters, because when we talk about our greater oneness, yeah, okay, we're one and we share a mastermind, but then we're fragmented out. So we each have our own identity. That identity we learn and we bring back our lessons to the mastermind when we die. Right? So there's this constant projecting, reflecting, this mirroring that goes on. And it's really important, because often we forget, when we're talking about epigenetics, we provide the epigenetics for somebody else, right? So a lot of us get stuck in our stories, poor me, poor me, poor me, right? But we have to remember, what role are you playing? And it's a reminder, it happened to me too. I know exactly what it's like for false inhibiting beliefs to rule my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because it's like, there's false inhibiting beliefs, then there's intrusive entities, then there's soul retrieval process that you probably would like to go through. There's all kinds of things, cord cutting. What do you do in what order? Well, when you work with me, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. In my strong opinion, it's pointless to do mind reprogramming if you have an intrusive entity, because whose mind am I reprogramming? Through my own personal experience, I also learned that there's entities within entities. Can you imagine that? So some of you might come and see me and be like, Gina, how many more times do I have to see you? And I always say 3 months to 24 months, because it's a case-by-case scenario. And energy work, even if you have a very chill session, very low-key, very relaxed, energetically, there's always a lot going on. So I like to provide clients with 2 sessions a month, and then it's a monthly membership. So you just maintain your monthly membership for as long as you need to. So anybody who requires mind reprogramming, you're probably going to need at least like 5 months to see me, because every single one of us, 99%, you need mind reprogramming for 1, 2, or all 3 of these things. You don't feel like you're enough. You don't feel like things are available to you. You feel like there's something wrong or different about you. That's 3 months right there. And that's exactly why I provide clients with 2 sessions each month, because I need a second session with you to clear your chakras. I like to do some story medicine, but we don't want to be stuck in the story. Otherwise, it's toxic. It's not medicine. So what can heal you can kill you, right? And when I first learned about the rules of the mind, I was so frustrated, because the mind learns by repetition, right? So what's familiar, you perceive as safe, even if it's dangerous and abusive, completely toxic for you. Toxic relationship is a classic example. Why are you staying in a toxic relationship? Because it's familiar, and what's familiar, the mind perceives as safe. But you're like, but Gina, I'm telling you, I recognize I'm in this abusive relationship. Well, then why don't you leave? Well, I can't. Well, why not? Because your mind won't let you. You might go through phases where you leave every now and then, but it's just temporary. You don't experience the permanent, pervasive, powerful change, right? So I'm really passionate about it, because you really can change your thinking to change your life. And your mind's number one job is to move you from pain towards pleasure. So that's why a lot of us, we have addictions. It doesn't matter if it's hard drugs, alcohol, it could be food. A lot of us have food addictions. We even have cell phone addictions. We just cannot get off the social media. We're addicted, right? A lot of us have children. And as parents, we recognize that we're failing. We're not even there for our children. Well, we recognize this, but don't you think we could be there for our children? No, not until you acquire mind reprogramming, because that's how hardwired we are. We're that hardwired. So it's important that you know that. And I have a special message for folks who are helping clients lose weight, or if you're working a job where you're helping somebody reach a goal in any way, shape, or form. And for what it's worth, you know the difference between clients that are like lazy and not really committed, but you know when you have an ideal client and you're working with an ideal client, for example, weight loss, and they're honestly not losing weight, right? Or maybe they did, but it came back. And you, as the weight loss trainer, find this very confusing. And it's like, what about your reputation, right? Because you have like a success rate. Please don't be discouraged. Know that your client is requiring mind reprogramming. And it's okay to say to your client, you know what? I've been your, fitness coach for the last 2 years, and it's time we have a conversation because you're not getting results that I expect you to get. So I'm recognizing that I don't want you to be hard on yourself. I don't want you to beat yourself up. It's not your fault. Why are you not getting results? Because I'm your, fitness coach, and I see you. I know what your diet is. I know your exercise routine. I'm here with you counting your push-ups and whatnot. What's the problem? Problem is your client requires mind reprogramming. So if you can start having an open conversation, they might have no idea. And you could say, hey, you know what? Like, there's this girl, Gina, book a session with her. You engage in mind reprogramming. You identify and smash the false inhibiting belief. Come back and see me. And I guarantee the weight will melt off because you have smashed the old program. And anytime you smash a program, it creates a space. And that space needs to be filled right away, which is why we reprogram the mind right there on the spot. And you've got a 21-day personalized audio to listen to reinforce, to integrate this. And so I have a tendency of getting carried away. But I'm wondering if anybody has any questions. I haven't really been paying attention to the chat.
I
I'll
got
look
a
into
question. Yeah,
it.
I was going to say, how do we
Sure.
differentiate between the normal anxious thoughts of something that feels foreign or invasive? Like, I think maybe that's something that might be.
Sorry,
Like,
Rob, can you say that again? I can hardly hear you. I'm turning my volume up.
I said, like, how we differentiate between the normal, like, anxious thoughts that people get and something that feels foreign or invasive.
Okay, so yeah. So the first thing we do is we don't even trust ourselves. That's how hardwired we are. Oh, I think there's an intrusive entity in me. No. Because my mind's number one job is to protect me. Intrusive entity, that's scary. And I don't mean to scare people, but it's real. You would never allow, I say this all the time, it's probably going to annoy Rob because I say it all the time, but like, you would never allow a stranger to come into your home and randomly start decorating your furniture, right? So why would you allow an intrusive entity or anybody inside your mind and start redecorating your thoughts? That's the parallel I offer you. It's not okay. An intrusive entity is inside your energy field. That's practically like being inside your vagina. It's very intimate. They are feeding off of you. So every single moment that goes by, they're feeding off of your energy. And it's not okay. And where things get a little bit sensitive is some of these intrusive entities are people you don't even know. Some of these intrusive entities are your parents, deceased parents. Some of these intrusive entities are deceased children. So I want to be very clear that intrusive entities are not necessarily evil. In fact, most of them are not. But despite the fact that they're not, they still have absolutely no business being in your energy field. And how did they get there? It's because you were vulnerable, and me too. When I did my shamanic training with the 4 winds, oh my God, like I'd get together with my colleagues. I kept looking forward to, we had to practice on each other. all they're practicing on me is extractions of intrusive entities. And then finally, I got to a point where I could move on with other stuff. And it's like, that's the reality. So this is where we second guess ourselves. Our mind's number one job is to protect us. So we lie to ourselves and we believe our lies. And I'm going to say it again. The mind's number one job is to protect you, even if it means creating false inhibiting beliefs and lying to yourself, keeping you stagnant. And I have to apologize. I'm the unapologetic type for what it's worth. But I was on Michael's show the other day, Michael Kopp, and it was the same thing. I was getting passionate. It's not my intention to get all wild up. It's just that I know there's people out there who they're not aware of this. And it's like, book a freaking session, right? Take charge of your life because you're not in charge. Someone else is. What? Yeah. Someone else is. And if it's not an intrusive entity that's like with you right there, it's feeding tubes like straws going way up into outer, I don't know where space. And so my shamanic training, I know how to cut all of that now. It's like psychic surgery, some people call it. So the thing is, nothing authentic hides in the dark. And something I had a hard time with is surrendering. Because I'm one of those people, I don't need help, I can help myself. And in the past, when people have helped me, I just felt like I really couldn't rely on them. And so when it came to surrendering, that was hard. And it turns out I'm quite wild and free. My heart, that was something consistent with my colleagues. They're like, you're very wild and free. Like, it's almost scary how wild and free. Like, if there's a stallion running and the waves are, triumphant, that's my heart, wild and free. And anyways, what I wanted to say was that nothing hides in the dark, right? So imagine your mind is dark. Nothing hides in the light, excuse me. So imagine your mind is this dark room, and I took a flashlight and I'm looking inside, right? Well, all I can see is what the light shines on. So an intrusive entity is watching me. They can see in the dark. So when I point the flashlight here, they go over there. When I point the flashlight here, they go over there, right? But what happens when I turn the light on in the room? There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide. And the extraction process, it's totally not like in the movies. Even challenging ones, it's not like in the movies. So you physically have to stand up. If you're on a wheelchair, you just, to the best of your posture, like stand tall in your wheelchair, because you have to literally use the coherence and tell them that they need to leave. And then the part about surrendering, going back to that, the shaman needs a shaman. We all have blind spots. So we all have a flashlight, if you will, inside of our mind, but we don't have the ability to turn on the lights. We only have the flashlight in the room. So this happens all the time. There you are with your flashlight in your mind, and an intrusive entity scurries by. Wait, what? An intrusive entity? No, that wasn't an intrusive entity. Well, what ends up happening is the intrusive entity starts manipulating you. It's funny for them and entertaining. Oh, they caught me. Good thing, their mind's number one job is to protect them and make up lies. Thankfully, they're just going to lie to themselves. But what happens when you start busting the intrusive entity more and more? What happens when the intrusive entity starts pushing their luck and has an I don't care attitude? And then that's when you might start seeing a shadow walk across your room at night. That's real. That's an intrusive entity inside your mind. I don't understand the science behind it, somehow expressing themselves energetically, and you tell yourself, no, that's not. Okay. So I'm getting passionate again. And intrusive entities, it's interesting because you can have conversations with them too. Most intrusive entities, they had no idea they were even intrusive. They didn't even realize they were dead. A lot of them are in this state of uncertainty and they just clung to you, right? Then there's the ones that they had really miserable lives here and they're dead, and they know that they're dead, but they're like, I don't want to leave. That little girl over there looks like, she's having a nice life playing on the swings. I'm going to go cling to her. And they live through you. So your experience with intrusive entities ranges. So don't ever let somebody tell you, like, this is the dictionary definition, this is how it works. Because if alchemy's taught me anything, it's that we need to formulate a common language. We also need to have a willingness to surrender, going back to surrendering again. We need to have a willingness to surrender to our very vocabulary. Those of you who've been following me, vampires, looshers, for me right now, that's in the same category, but I'm very willing to toss that category away. Aside from intrusive entities, you've also got crystallized energy, so hard energy. So let's say in a past life, somebody smashed a rock in your head and you died from that. Now in this life, you get headaches all of the time. That's probably why. That rock imprint is still there in your head. I can remove that for you. So it might not be an intrusive entity in your head. It might just be like somebody literally smashed a rock on your head. And things like gunshots, I find like the weapons to be interesting, because energy work is just like controlled remote viewing. My job is to tell the details, not like get into the details, the descriptors, excuse me. My job is to report the descriptors. The client will know what I'm talking about. And that was kind of weird for me, but even with my gemstone readings, it's really helped me with my own confidence, because when you do this kind of work, it's the client that has the answers, because their subconscious mind has the answers. And Michael Newton talked about the hypnotherapist having an ego, because a lot of folks will tell their hypnotherapist, you're in my dream, you're in my head. No, we're not. No, we're not. You might think we are, but we're not, because it's my voice and or my image that your mind is borrowing, making it your own until it's fully integrated. And so there's a lot of points that I touched on here. But something I wanted to say before I forget is that, what's funny is I have notes. I always have notes. Even when I was a teacher, like I plan in advance, and then I'm like, who cares about my notes? Shut up. What did I want to say now? When it comes to weapons, the weapons that I remove, I don't even know what they're called. I mean, I can guess, right? I was told these are very ancient weapons, very, like, we're talking sticks and stones. Arrowheads are getting a bit advanced, okay? So lots of like rock smashing. And there's this one weapon, it's like a ball, and sometimes it's like, I think it's like half the ball. So it's interesting to hear feedback from clients what they might think that is, but I'm not hung up on it. Again, alchemizing language. And so your mind thrives on what's familiar, even if it's not safe, even if it's dangerous. So if you have an intrusive entity, if you have entities feeding off of you from like a feeding tube, if you have hard crystallized energy, like a rock imprint stuck in your head, maybe somebody penetrated you with a stick and you got that here. All of that kind of stuff I can help you with. But for what it's worth, if you're not awakened to it and you're still sleeping, if you will, then how will you know, right? So it's not a coincidence that if you're listening, like a lot of the viewers on Typical Skeptic Podcast, they're like, they know this kind of information, but a lot of folks out there, it's your first time hearing this kind of stuff. So it's not a coincidence, right? And even the ones who are aware and familiar with this kind of content, it's not a coincidence that I'm bringing it up today. very well could be likely that folks who are tuning in right here, right now, might need some mind reprogramming, but not before me testing you for intrusive entities. And like I said, it's not like in the movies. It's very, very calm. And usually when the entity comes out, my hands get excessively sweaty. I'm not one to have sweaty hands, and that's like how I know. My crystals, this so happens to be right here actually, but I got to be careful because my hands get so slippery. I don't wear gloves when I do energy work, but my hands get so slippery that it's like it's literally going to slide right out. What I wanted to say was, if you constantly have headaches all the time, that's familiar and normal to you. So you might not even honor taking an Advil. And by the time you actually have a full-blown migraine, you might consider that a mild headache. Absolutely cutting yourself short, because having a headache all the time is just something that you've always had since birth. There's a lot of folks, the back of the head, it feels like somebody hit them, probably because you got hit in a past life and died like that. And now in this life, you think, oh, I'm just the kind of person that has headaches all the time. No. So awakening can be rough. So don't be hard on yourself. And it all has to do with the hero's journey, which I learned the hard way, is also known as the triangle of disempowerment. So we need to really transform the hero's journey, transform the triangle of disempowerment to the triangle of empowerment. And the empowerment starts when you respond to the call. So say yes, book a session, if not with me, if somebody else. Rob's got all kinds of folks on his show that are in this line of work. My specialization is rapid transformational therapy, hypnotherapy. I was trained by the master herself, Marissa Peer. I don't sell modalities. It's just, I like to share my knowledge and share my learning. So if you're interested in taking RTT, drop my name, Gina Virginia Casella, because Marissa Peer was offering discounts for, folks who graduated. And I also have training from the Four Winds with Alberto Villaldo. So that's been very special for me to acquire this training. I was also a public school teacher for 20 years, as mentioned before, and heavily involved in the union. So, when kids stay home on professional development days, that the teachers still have to go to school? Well, they would have phenomenal speakers, right? And I had the luxury of becoming one of those phenomenal speakers. I acquired the training. It was volunteer on my part, but I acquired the training. And then my teachers union, the British Columbia Teachers Federation, the BCTF, the members, they would pick up my tab for my gas money and whatnot to get me across the province of British Columbia, mostly in the Lower Mainland. So I specialized in the professional and social issues department and also in social justice. So it might throw some of my colleagues off that I do this work now, because it was something that was very personal to me. And now I share it, and it's so liberating. It's so liberating, because I had a false inhibiting belief that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't intelligent. When I had a severe panic attack and my life fell apart, wow, I call it the Great Unplug. You can read about it in my book. It was just devastating, and I've come to learn that's the eagle condor medicine, the poof state, and it's terrifying. But if you can say yes to the hero's journey, if you can take charge of your life and live consciously, then you absolutely can die consciously. And if you die consciously, you don't have to worry about intrusive entities. You don't have to worry about becoming an intrusive entity, because that's the quantum leap that folks talk about. That basically, you can't leap over the Grand Canyon in 2 leaps. You got a one big leap, and when you die, when you leave this world, you have to one big leap. So knowing the map, knowing the roads, this is Jaguar energy now, but knowing that is very important. And it's important to me. You'd have to maybe on a different day I can just do Q&As and people can just ask me about my personal life or whatever to bring you up to date. But there's 8 books, like I said, and I still have a suitcase more to write. The Dragon Dreams Oracle. It's taking me a bit longer to publish because the formatting, I don't know if anybody out there can relate, but these are going to be available probably within the next few days to a week. It's already like written and everything. It's just copy paste, and now I'm shrinking things, reformatting. So there's lots going on. I want to start fundraising money for the Dragon Dreams movie. So there's going to be a movie series, and I sent out a post today on Buy Me a Coffee about that. So I'm going to be offering mini gemstone readings, Dreaming with Gemstone Gina, the last Friday of the month, 11 a.m. Eastern, until I think I put 2 p.m., but I'm willing to go until everybody's had a turn. So you're definitely going to want to tune in right away. And I'm looking for any Dragon Dreamers out there who are interested in committing to volunteering and helping me out. So I need help posting. I need help with somebody monitoring the chat. And it would be ideal if there were 2 or 3 people who wanted to get in on this. And you can read more about it in my Buy Me a Coffee, because you know what, when I'm doing gemstone readings, for the sake of fluidity and consistency, it's really handy to have somebody post and monitor the chat, and then simultaneously monitoring the Buy Me a Coffee, monitoring whose turn it is and whatnot, so that I can just get busy with one gemstone reading after another. Those of you who have had a mini gemstone reading with me, you know it's always more than mini. I can't help it. So I'll be really keeping it focused. Like, I can't help it, right? Like if there's something in there, then I got to tell you. And you know what? Like those of you who have seen me do live gemstone readings, if nobody's participating, like on Michael's show a few shows ago, one person basically had a 45-minute gemstone reading because nobody else was participating. And I know I didn't have to do that, but that's the kind of person that I am, you know? Hi, Matthew. Good to see you here. So I'm just looking at the chat here. I see Anchor Haven. Hi, Julia. I just added you as a friend. Thanks for accepting my friend request. So now I'm on my Facebook. I've got Anchor Haven, so I'm getting the updates about the conference spaces. And let me go to the top of the chat here. So
we got comments. I can put them up on the screen.
Oh, okay, great. I'm just going through them now. And Crystal Clear, thank you. I'm passionate.
She says, what does she use to remove entities? But you kind of just said that. You use RTT, right?
No. So if you require mind reprogramming, then the modality I use is RTT. But when you book with me, mind reprogramming, you don't have to worry about the specifications. So to remove an entity, if it's a intrusive entity, like a ghost, then you basically need to meet with me online, and then we do it remotely, and we imagine our hands touching. And one of my hands has this crystal in it, and the entity, usually it's in your spine area. It hangs out in there. So when it's time to actually extract it, the energy of the intrusive entity literally comes right over your shoulder. I charge the energy on your back. The intrusive entity makes its way here. It literally goes down your arm and it comes here. And it's very easy to do. And it is not like in the movies. Like, I don't know what people are expecting. It's like, it's very chill, and people do get emotional because you have to stand in your power and you tell the intrusive entity that it needs to go. And if you're interested in having dialogue with the intrusive entity, I encourage it, because like, why did it pick you? And then you get insight into your vulnerability, right? In situations where it's a deceased child, it's really special, and it's an opportunity for the parent to say, I love you, and the child can die consciously. The child didn't die consciously. That's why the child clung to the parent. Or maybe it's a deceased parent that didn't die consciously. What do I mean when I say not dying consciously? I mean people who didn't die saying, I love you, I forgive you. They had unmet loose ends, if you will. So when they died, the consciousness stayed here because it's still, it's like unfinished business. So the entity just floats around until it comes into you. That was a bit of an extended answer, but
no, that was
yeah,
good. That was good. This is
me.
Nat. He wants to know what you. This is a little bit of a different question, but he wants to know what you think about manifesting.
Yeah. So manifesting, you have the power to do that. You can manifest anything, but you have to manifest consciously. So that's part of living consciously. So when you're manifesting, you want to get in the routine of having like a monthly cycle, for example, where you work with the moon cycle, and manifesting is just part of your lifestyle. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. The stuff that doesn't work out, why did it not work out? Maybe because the universe had a different plan. Maybe it's because something else is coming for you. There's lots of reasons why. One of the reasons why things don't work out for us is because it turns out we don't actually want those things. You see, now we get back to the rules of the mind. What's familiar keeps us safe. So if you're really trying hard to manifest, maybe you want to be a nurse and you're like buckling down with your studies so you can get into that nursing program. But then like now you're in the nursing program and you're realizing, I don't, this is a bit stressful for me. Like, this is overwhelming. I'm not enjoying myself. You don't want to manifest that anymore. And that's okay. When you're manifesting, it needs to be about you. And I recommend getting in connection, building connection with the power animals from the four winds, or whatever culture experience modality works for you. I encourage you to have a relationship with the elementals and nature spirits, because you're not alone. You're not alone, and energy moves in and around us. Nature spirits, they're part of our epigenetics too. So if you put the buzz out there, it's like you've got friends, allies, ears and eyes looking out for you. And the rules of the mind, you want to work with them. So one of the rules of the mind, what's familiar keeps you safe. So if you draw a picture of whatever you're manifesting, maybe you want to get married, draw a picture of you and a bride, right? Get, what is it called? You flip through magazines and you cut out a bunch of pictures and you make a collage. Do something like that that has to do with getting married. That way in your brain, you're planting a seed, and then what's familiar keeps you safe. Because even though, for example, you desire to get married and it's not happening, probably won't happen because being single is keeping you safe. So you have to start switching your mindset. And then at some point, your mind starts to go, oh, okay, I understand. You don't want to be single anymore. You want this image, because images are important to the mind, and symbols, right? So keep me updated on what you're manifesting. And on that note, I've got a free Facebook group, the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective. So if anybody wants to post any of the updates in there, it's a lovely community to do that.
Are you looking for testimonials, Gina? Because I was like,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was really worried about this girl. I'll read everything she put. There's like a 3-part question here. She says, yes, since a tick attached to my lymph node in my groin area, I've had from knee to wrist, ankle, moving from my knee, wrist, ankle, and today and so on. She says, very, very, very pain on the top of my head. She says her hair has been ripped out. She says her digestive system is barely working. Her digestive system is barely working. She says encephalopathy. She says she would contact you if she doesn't have the money, or she would have recited it. She says she's intrigued with what you do.
Right. So if you have a medical issue like a tick and things are going on, you need to see a doctor. We never want to underestimate the practicality of things. That's the level of snake. So the level of snake, that's the literal language of cells, atoms, and molecules. So on an energetic level, I can help you, but if things manifest to the point where now you have an actual ailment, it's a bit more challenging. It can be done. So my suggestion to you is to see a doctor because you might have an infection, right? It also sounds to me like I would test you for an intrusive entity, and I would also clear your chakras. And I would also do some story medicine with you with the Gnome King's gemstones and pulling a card from the Dragon Dreams Oracle just to get some insight about next steps. Lots of people can't afford to come and see me. So I've offered all kinds of free sessions. There's all kinds of free resources. And the last Friday of every month, I'm going to be fundraising money doing mini gemstone readings. So it's by donation. So mark your calendar. Like, I think it's Boxing Day, December 26th. That's the last Friday of the month. So you want to do that. And also, like Rob was saying, for what it's worth, I have a hard time finding testimonials. Isn't that interesting? You know why? Because they're too personal. They're too personal. You know, you even had Dan come on here, right? Dan came on here and did a special testimonial. And if you listen to Dan's testimony, like he's very complimenting, you know, he puts in a good word for me. I'm talking about Dan Armstrong, so folks can go back and find that in Rob's history. So it's like super awesome, right? Dan puts in a good word for me. But if you really listen to his testimonial, he doesn't really talk about the personal, right? And that's typical. And I've had people say to me, Gina, I'll provide you with a testimony. But then when it comes time, they say, you know what, Gina, that was actually just too personal and I don't want to share that. Or they want to have like a fake name. So if you're serious about providing a free testimony, then I lovingly invite you to get in touch with me about possibly volunteering to be a monitor or a host for Dreaming with Gemstone Gina, because I do believe in energy exchanges. And if you're giving up your time for me to help move the Dragon Dreams movie forward by volunteering as a monitor and or a host that's committed, not like the one-off time, then I would absolutely adore to provide you with a free session. No problem. You know, it would be very powerful if we did it live, but I get it. It's hard for people to do that live. So I am open. I'm open. And I live in Canada right now. I'm in Ontario. So I love homemade items. And if anybody out there wanted to do like an energy exchange, Rosie and I were looking for housing. Actually, I just put a post out on Buy Me a Coffee. I sent a post, and then I was like, hey, and by the way, Rosie and we might move to Victoria, BC this spring. I don't know. We're open, but I feel like sunny climate zones, New Mexico, Florida, those places seem to be calling me. Colorado, I'm open. But when it comes to providing you with a free service, like what energy exchange can you match, right? A lot of people have yet to heart anything in my Facebook group. A lot of folks don't even belong to Buy Me a Coffee. So I understand the need for free services. And the beauty about investing in me is when I attend conferences, I don't charge money. I just attend. So when I was at the Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida this past summer, I just provided free gemstone readings. If people wanted to donate, they could. I even gave away all my books that I brought. So you know that you're investing in the greater good, and it makes space. And for what it's worth, a lot of dragon dreamers have like $0, zero. And I get it. Last year, I faced homelessness myself, right? My health took a hit. A lot of people know that, but this isn't something that happened like 20 years ago, right? This happened June 2024. It was my last paycheck. And then I couldn't pay my bills anymore. So I lost everything. I almost had to give Rosie away. It was devastating. So I just want to really let you know on a very deep level, I know the struggle is real, and I know exactly what it's like not to have money. I know what it's like to be judged, because I was a teacher. I was intelligent. I am intelligent, but I was lucky. I didn't have to spend a night on the street. My sister was able to lend me money, and I lived with her for about a month, and then I moved in with my parents. And so Rosie and we've gone through a lot. It's just too easy to give up, and to be in a state of despair is just why I'm so passionate about my work. It's so important to live consciously, to be in right relationship, just wow. So the struggle has been real, and I myself have prioritized healing. So you don't really see me at a lot of parties these days, just because I'm busy behind the scenes manifesting, and I'm serious. So I've been connecting with the nature spirits. I've been doing my homework. I myself have been anything that, certain people are offering for free. I get in on it, and I don't just tread the water. I take the deep dive. So I want to really lovingly invite you, if you're like, oh my God, that girl sounds just like me. Don't give up and persevere. Do not despair. Do not despair. One step every day, one step, right? One step. It's not easy. It is not easy. And when the world around you and the epigenetics around you is negative and toxic, you got to get out of there. Right? So remember, every thought that you have triggers an emotional response, which is followed by a chemical reaction, and nothing matters but the now, the present moment, because each and every single present moment can be so pressing because it determines the next present moment. So here's where the rules of the mind can really work in your favor. You can manipulate yourself. When you're absolutely miserable, you tell yourself, I'm happy. And you literally put a smile on your face and you tell yourself, I'm happy. My life is falling apart. Wonderful. And this helps to shift the energy. I call it hysteria. So that was a very long-winded answer. So I hope to see you on the last Friday of the month. And there's a lot of dragon dreamers out there, like I said, who have $0. There's a lot of dragon dreamers out there who have tons and tons of money. And for them, it's a burden. They don't know who their real friends are. They're embarrassed about how their family acquired the money. They don't know what to do, so it just sits there. So if you're one of those dragon dreamers that has money, you can message me and be like, hey, Gina, I was watching the Typical Skeptic podcast, and it sounds like a dragon dreamer could really use a free session. Instead of donating to the movie, here's 12 months worth of membership, a private membership. And then I could offer that to somebody, right? So this is what the community is about. And the movie that I'm making is about community. And the conference, the Dragon Dream, Soul Tribe Collective, Continuum of Conscious Evolution. I got to double check the title. It's a bit of a long title, but the Continuum of Consciousness Evolution and our alchemy is ours. And that's our community. And these conferences and movies are not going to be expensive. They're going to be for everybody. So I was getting passionate again.
That was great. That was great. We've been going about an hour. I was going to say, do you want to show your video and
Yeah, sure. I will share my video. Just scrolling through the chat here. Hi, Draco. Thanks for your comment. And it seems like folks here are resonating with things that I said. I don't know Eva Detko. Is she a hypnotherapist, Crystal, or energy worker? And speaking of these, during a QHHT hypnosis session I give, identify the entities in your body powering your thought, bad decisions, addictions, also handlers in their programs. Yeah, so it kind of feels like you're talking to yourself. You have a dialogue with yourself, but it's with the entity. So you have to trust whatever information comes in, no matter how bizarre. And whatever comes up, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and entities will tell you why they're there, and some entities will tell you very kindly that they're not leaving. And it's like, no, you need to leave. And they're like, no, we're not leaving. And it's like, so that's where the power of having me, the witness, because you're going to be telling them you need to leave. And if they're not leaving, that's where I step in and I say, I heard you were told to leave and now you need to go. Like, there's no messing around here. It's like squeezing a zit. You're getting extracted.
Are you trying to raise funds for the movie, Gina?
Yeah, I'm trying to raise funds for the movie. So right after I log off here, I'm going to log back on to my YouTube. And if anybody wants to pay money for a live gemstone reading, it's a mini one, to my Buy Me a Coffee. That's going to be coming up next. Rob and I just plan to go for an hour today, but I'm actually free after. So yeah. I think I'm done going through the comments here. Looks like Drago and Crystal had conversation. It wasn't for me. I don't always wear gloves. Often I do, because the energy coming from my hands is just so powerful, and vibration. It just kind of like putting a blanket on a baby and just, it's okay. And it just somehow psychologically makes me feel like it's okay. I don't have to worry about my energy. And each hand, it's like a garburator. So nothing gets inside of me. But that garburator, it's like really powerful, the shredder. So I just kind of working with that. But when I do the energy work, I don't wear gloves. So I'm like right hands-on, direct. And Anchor Haven, are you sending me a message on my Facebook? I'll check my Facebook. Oh, hi, Tony Ann. Tony Ann's one of my Dragon Dreamers. Happy holidays. Yeah. And Tony Ann saying, I love how you talk about annoying stuff. Yeah, like, it is annoying, right? But these annoying things are real things. Like, darn intrusive entities.
I gotta wrap up, Gina. I want to play your video.
Oh, okay.
I got another show at 4 and I got another show at 8 today. So otherwise, we can do another show.
Well,
Absolutely, for sure.
I was just really delighting in the comments there. You're welcome, everybody. Right now on my YouTube, I just have to log off here and then I'm going to go on my YouTube. So if you're interested in getting a mini gemstone reading through donation, through Buy Me a Coffee, then come up. And so I'll log off here and then I'll provide that information in the details. So I do have a 1-minute video. This is Rob StreamYard, so I don't have my
you want me to play it? Oh, here, 1 second here.
My end video. There it is.
I added it. It's yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And if anybody wants to dream with me a little bit more, then just give me a minute. I'm going to set up a live show on my YouTube right now. We'll see you there.
Right. Yeah, guys, go over to her channel and get a gemstone reading. Then I know at 4 p.m. Eastern today, I'll be live again, but I know Matthew Morning's going to be live at 4 p.m. Eastern too. And then at 8 p.m. tonight Eastern, I have Carrie Cassidy and Indigo Angel. So those will all be good shows. And thanks everybody, and thanks Gina. This is awesome.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good